Nier Automata is a game, or rather, Nier Automata is an experience. What I mean by that is Nier is not simply a fun beat 'em up or a story-driven game. In fact, I find the game hard to pin down in words other than Gestalt. Gestalt. German. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. Nier Automata feels Gestalt in that you cannot get the same experience for watching a story summary, seeing gameplay, or listening to the music. Rather, it is a masterpiece of gameplay, music, and story that propelled this game to simply the best game I've ever played. There will never be another game like Nier Automata. Skillup said it best when he said that Nier Automata is a rare breakthrough moment in the history of our medium. Let's start from the top.
We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. Is this a curse? Or some kind of punishment? I often think about the god who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle, and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him.
Nier Automata's gameplay is smooth, fluid, and weird. A common thing you'll hear me say over and over is how unique and weird this game is, because, well, it is. From smooth hack-and-slash 2B gameplay to 9S's asteroid-style hacking minigame, which I honestly have no right to call a minigame as it's more like a fighting-style weird, I know. Or even the twin-stick shooter segments. These gameplay segments on the surface sound odd, like they simply would not fit together, and yet they do. Nier Automata's gameplay style is like a tuna casserole. While the ingredients or styles sound fantastic on their own, you might think that tuna and peas would be awful together. Yet, somehow they blend together to make something absolutely delicious. I believe this comes from the fact that Nier doesn't treat its gameplay like gameplay. Rather, it treats its gameplay like a story device. Whereas a game like Call of Duty, centered around its gunplay, is just a shooter with story elements, Nier Automata is a story with hack-and-slash elements. Nier never lets its gameplay get in the way of the story it's trying to tell. Rather, it weaves those things together in harmony. It makes sense that 2B has these smooth and fluid attacks. She's an android designed for killing. Likewise, it makes sense that a scanner unit like 9S can only use complex hacking segments to deal damage. He's scrawny and weak and ill-equipped for hand-to-hand combat. Whereas another game simply would have kept the ability to hack and slash at the same level as 2B for 9S for the sake of fun, Yoko Taro decided that he wanted distinction. Nier Automata's greatest strength is, instead of functioning for the sake of fun, it functions for the sake of immersion. Now don't get me wrong, 9S's hacking segments were fantastic, and I thought at least an interesting change of pace. However, it would have been so easy to use Platinum's amazing hack and slash combat to make this game fun the whole way through. But God, I love how awful I find 9S's gameplay towards the end of the game. While I was listening to 9S mourn the loss of someone he loved, I truly felt his rage, and with how frustrated I got with his combat at points, time segments and getting one shot truly did make me feel like I had stakes in this way more than a simple hack and slash segment would have. Now, I know I started this video by saying that Nier was an experience, and I stand by that, but Nier is also unashamedly a video game. Looking at Taro's other works, we constantly see the way he takes advantage of the medium to critique it. Just look at Drakengard's dark take on the Dynasty Warriors gameplay, how players mindlessly kill hundreds of thousands of people for no reason other than the game told me to, and how the game will pat you on the back for it, whereas in real life you'd be an absolute psychopath. Nier Replicant and Gestalt did not do this to the same extent. Rather, I felt Nier making you replay the game over and over again was a testament to just how gamey it was. Automata opens Act 3 like a play or a movie. A cinematic launching you down from the bunker to Earth only to be caught off guard by the infected android. This part feels distinctly separate, but immediately after this segment, you are forced to walk 2B across the map you've had to run across the entire game. As you hold your controller stick forward or your W key, you watch 2B limp, taking damage and breathing heavily as you walk her forward. This gameplay is distinctly gamey. Only video games could do this. Nier Automata is a tragedy, but it is far from hopeless. I've seen countless Reddit posts about just how sad people felt beating the game, and I want to ask those people, be it yourself, or someone you know, or just anyone, why? Let's look at the ending quote of the game. A future is not given to you. It is something you must take for yourself. Is that the send-off of a hopeless game, or one that says that you can push yourself to achieve anything you want? I'll let you think about that while we look at the rest of the story. Automata opens on the famous quote I played earlier. Dropped into a twin-stick shooter against a bunch of machines. We quickly see the machines wipe out our entire squadron. This opening sets us up perfectly to be in the shoes of Yorha. Machines are the enemy. For this first playthrough as 2B, you have the scene set for you to have the same intent as she does. Kill machines without thinking. In playthrough 2, we open on a pair of machines. One appears to be dead, and another younger one shakes him and repeats, "Brother," while trying to wake him. He eventually gets up, gets a bucket, fills it with oil, and brings it over, hoping to revive his brother. Panning out, we see 9S watching this scene. He makes a comment about how that won't work, and that no matter how much oil he uses, he can't make a machine his brother. That's right, 9S's opening sets the tone for the rest of his playthrough, one of introspective questions about the machines, their sentience, and their ability to be human. The third playthrough I cannot put into words, and to avoid being completely spoilery, is emotional, heartbreaking, and weird. That's right. Even in the final playthrough, we get the theme set for us, mainly in the form of 9S's small monologue.
Before I could convince myself to tell 2B the truth, our final major operation had begun. Still, at the time, I knew nothing. Not how the battle would end, nor what fate stood in wait for us.
This sets us up for the uncertainty and horror that this playthrough will bring. Now, I have up until this point been intentionally vague when it comes to the story, as like I said, it would do you a great disservice for me to just talk about it without you experiencing everything yourself. I recommend, if you haven't already, that you go out and purchase or otherwise obtain a copy of Nier Automata. And please play it and then come back. I'll wait here. Or honestly, if you just want to watch the rest of this video, or you're someone I know and you're just here to support me, yeah, keep watching through this little break. I'm sure there's a link on screen or something I put to tell you what time to skip to. Anyway. In playthrough C, we play as either A2 or 9S, and you switch between them at various points to uncover the full story. After 2B dies, we watch 9S slowly driven to madness as he wanders around the world destroying the towers so that he may eventually kill A2. What is unknown from his perspective is that A2 is not only working to fulfill 2B's wish, but reconciling with her own trauma. It is the turmoil that erupts in this final act that cements Nier as one of the greatest games I've ever played. The events are quick and deadly. 9S's change in emotional state and his descent into madness is rich with character and pain and trauma. 9S's life falls apart in front of him again and again. He discovers the lie that is Yorha, that 2B was designed to kill him. The humans that they loved so dearly and were tasked to protect have been dead all along, and that his life is absolutely and completely meaningless. That's right, meaningless. The future is not given to you, it is something you take for yourself. We have no meaning but that which we give to something. I have seen Nier described as the ultimate humanist fable. I'm sure we've all seen that video pop up in the recommended for this one. However, I believe that Nier is less a story of humanity and more of humans. That is not the same thing. Obviously, the game has its humanist moments, and a lot of the story is adorned with compassion. But I believe strongly that the android side of the game is not about humanity. The machine lifeforms tell a tale about humanity, and the Yorha units tell a story about humans. Despite acknowledging that to Yorha androids emotions are forbidden, the Yorha androids constantly and consistently express and experience these emotions. They cry, are angry, and even playful and joyful. Despite 2B shutting down 9S during the first and second playthroughs, we see these emotions time and time again. Yorha units, despite not possessing a soul, are still human. Now let's walk that back for a second. There's another game in this franchise which tackles exactly that. Nier Gestalt, or Nier Replicant, actually takes a look at replicants, bodies which have had their original human souls removed, and they eventually end up developing those very souls for themselves. These carbon copy humans develop their own consciousness, feelings, and souls. A soul in philosophy is defined as the immaterial, intangible aspect of human essence which generates the self. To be able to sit here and define myself individually of anyone else, to be able to say I, is to possess a soul. In the first game, we see replicants begin to develop souls. Despite being hollow husks, over time they do develop a human essence. Now, does this mean that in the Taroverse that the soul is biologically encoded? Well, you could make a case for that, but gestalts also exist. Okay, hold on. Gestalts? Replicants? What's going on? Well, in the lore of Nier lies a few key events which I have to explain for this to all make sense. Essentially, in 2003 in Tokyo, a giant white statue and a dragon rain down from the sky. Loud sounds are heard, and eventually the statue disintegrates and the dragon falls with it. Months later, a mysterious illness appears which turns your body into sodium chloride. This is dubbed white chlorination syndrome. Those who contract it either go berserk or die, and they can't really figure out why. And in order to combat it, they surround Shinjuku with a giant wall, henceforth referred to as the Wall of Jericho. Side note, for some reason, I think it's very important for you guys to understand the story of Jericho in the Bible, as the parallels are quite interesting. So a quick summary is, God tells some priests to march around the walls of Jericho blowing trumpets for days, and then it crumbles after a couple days. God then wills them to kill every man and woman of all ages. In Nier, the story is actually shockingly similar. Once the Wall of Jericho is destroyed from the inside, a number of years later, with similar sounds to the original incident in Tokyo playing, what emerges is an army of white beings dubbed Legion, who begin slaughtering any human they come into contact with. Eventually the world plans to nuke Shinjuku, and they do. However, all this does is release the mystery particles, which would later be dubbed meso, all over the world, spreading white chlorination syndrome far and wide. The solution we thought of? Well, basically separating the soul from the body. These gestalts, or souls, are to be eventually placed in a corresponding replicant, an exact genetic copy of the human that the gestalt came from. However, over the course of Nier, we see that the replicants have developed their own souls. Sound familiar? Throughout the Nier games, we see people which are forbidden to do something eventually do it. The replicants cannot have a soul until they are reunited with their gestalt. They develop it anyway. The androids cannot feel emotions. They cry and love and feel anyway. Nier is defiance. Nier shows the absolute indomitable will of humanity, its ability to rebuild from nothing, and that even when separated from our souls, do we generate an energy so palpable that we are capable of building our own. Music. You've heard some throughout this video, no doubt. I can't say anything more than that is the only game music to ever be on my Spotify playlist, that it is so visceral and real despite being in a made-up language that I simply cannot explain it. The roaring words and drums of Grandma which echo memories from Replicant and Gestalt. The way Vague Hope is so peaceful and sad. Without even a single word in any language. That is Nier's strength. It's humanity. It didn't need language or words to get that feeling across. Yes, Weight of the World is in English and Japanese and German and I think French, but that's how it's always been with Nier credit songs. And even for Weight of the World, it punches above its weight class in what it's able to deliver. The swelling sounds, just the lyrical content, everything comes together so perfectly. And the end of Yorha version hits even harder when you hear the Platinum Games team singing along, thinking it would be the end of Platinum Games as well. Absolutely insane. To end this video off, I want to return to the question I already asked you. Is Nier Automata a truly hopeless game? Well, I believe that answer lies in yourself. Until next time.